I have people ask me how I can be anti-technology and anti-social media and anti-internet and all that, while I'm engaged with all of them. And I think the thing that's important is I'm not against any of these things. These things are just things. They're neutral. They don't really have any value, positive or negative, beyond what we give them, beyond how we use them in our lives. I'll admit, like I have concerns about the creeping, just the spread of technology and how dependent we're becoming on it. I have concerns with how it seems to be stripping away aspects of our humanity. It's stripping away our empathy. And man, I think we are absolutely creating a world full of narcissists, which is terrifying if you've ever actually worked with or dealt with narcissists in any real way. Actually, Russell Brand just did a video about this. I really liked. I mean, that's a conversation I have frequently, with clients and with people I know. Just this rise in this idea that I'm so important because I'm constantly like externalizing myself. I'm constantly like viewing myself as an object, like I'm doing right now. I can look right down and there I am. I've probably seen more pictures of myself in the last 3 years than in my entire life up to that point, maybe. And I just as a species, I don't know that we're wired for that. Just as a species, I'm not sure that we know how to deal with that real effectively. So those things concern me. I think we're seeing some of the downsides of technology with, things like pornography and just how completely out of hand that's gotten for some people. I don't have a moral stance on pornography, but I do know that as a counselor, I've seen some people who it's really consumed them. The stuff that we see on social media with kids, the stuff they go through, teenagers really struggling with anxiety and stuff if they don't get a certain number of likes, if people don't follow them. Those things are not good. I mean, just trying to record this stupid video. I've been interrupted 3 times by phone calls, and one was from my wife, which is fine. She's allowed to interrupt me anytime. The other 2 were from like these robocallers, and I don't even know what they want. They don't leave messages. It's just these constant calls that I don't answer. So those are not my favorite things in the world, but it doesn't mean I am against any of this. I think that for me, I remember a time before all of this. I'm old enough, I'm 41, so I'm old enough to remember what it was like before we had all these things. I remember what it was like before a cell phone. I remember what it was like to not be connected all the time. And I really miss that. I really enjoy the times that I go walking and I leave my phone behind, or when I'm in the mountains and I don't have any reception. I think that's really cool. I like the times that I don't feel compelled to document my life. But these are also just parts of reality. These are a major part of our world now, and I don't hide from that. I'm here on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Facebook, which really sucks. Facebook is the absolute worst. I have a Twitter. I don't really like. I struggle with Twitter just because I think it's so negative. No matter how well you cultivate your Twitter feed, if somebody that you like is following somebody else who's posting just negative shit, you're gonna end up seeing it. And so I don't spend a lot of time on there. But I've even like lately, Wondertree and my digital media people have encouraged me to try TikTok. So I've got one little 60-second video on there, and that place is weird. That TikTok was the sign that I'm absolutely getting old because I don't fully understand it. So, just by all that, you can tell I'm not anti any of this. I'm not anti-technology. I'm talking to you on a freaking iPhone, and I don't even know how many of these I've had at this point. I'm not anti, but I am a little bit wary of it. But I do think you can use social media as a tool. I think you can use technology as a tool, and that's all it is. It doesn't have to be more than that, but I think you have to have some things in place, and that's what people tend to ask me about. I actually spend time sitting down with people, helping them set their phone up in a way where it doesn't dominate their life, helping them set up, routines and kind of algorithms for social media and email and stuff like that. And the things that I've found that are useful is, first of all, make your phone uninteresting. I have all of my apps in just one little folder on the screen. The folder is just called No, because that's helpful to me. But to do anything, I have to swipe down and type in the name of the app, Safari or whatever. And that helps me where I'm not just kind of like wandering through my phone looking for something to do. I try not to pick up my phone unless I have a reason to pick it up. I really try not to mindlessly check it throughout the day. Along with that, I don't have any alerts on anything. To know if I have a text, and I get a lot of texts, I have to go in and check. I have to click open and see. I have to check my phone calls. I have to check Instagram. I have to check to see if there's any activity on my phone. And that's been really helpful, because these things, these little devices, have really started programming us to be very reactive. They are exploiting a part of our brain that's wired pretty heavily for survival and is very useful for survival. They're exploiting that and kind of turning it against us, to where we get these little hits of dopamine and we feel good when we log on to Instagram and there's that little bubble at the bottom with a heart or a new follower. And being reactive like that is not helpful. We are constantly thinking about it. I read this one study they did where just having your phone out on your desk while you're working makes you more distractible. The even scarier part is, even if it's not on your desk, if there's a phone in the room, you are more distractible, because we're so used to looking at these things and being like, ooh, what's the next cool thing that they're going to show me? And so, I try to keep mine out of sight and out of mind a lot. This does make me miss some texts. This does make me a little slower responding to phone calls and things like that. But I've really found that people don't really have that much of a problem with it. And I would kind of assume that if somebody has a real problem with it, I'm probably not the guy they want to be friends with anyway. So those are just some little things that have helped. I think we should batch how we do things. Have a time that you go check your email and check these things. If I'm at home and I'm working, I try to do it about every hour and a half. Check text, check phone calls, check Instagram, check email, all that stuff. And being perfectly honest with you, there are plenty of times that I look at something and decide I don't need to respond to that right now. And I'm not sorry for that. I would hope that if I send somebody some dumbass text that doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything, put me off. If you're studying or you're hanging out with family or you're doing something that you just don't feel like responding to me, cool. Don't respond to me. That's what these things are meant to be for. They're supposed to be more convenient for us. They're not supposed to run our lives. And I think the most important thing we have to do with this is we have to remember that as far as social media goes, none of this is real. This idea of likes and follows and all of that, it doesn't really mean anything. Somebody scrolling and tapping their finger on some glass, that doesn't validate what I said. Somebody not tapping on that glass doesn't invalidate what I said. Somebody, even if they leave a comment straight up that says, what you said is stupid. My favorite was, it was a long time ago, but I just posted something about reality winning, accept what's in front of you. And some dude who I don't even know, some dude over in England, told me that I was a cog in the machine and people like me are what's maintained slavery. With my ideas. And so I think he's given me a little more power than I have, but that's the other thing about this, is that some dude who I've never met can jump on and say whatever he wants. That's the other thing this has done, is it's taken out the face-to-face interaction. I know a lot of people who will say things on apps and talk a lot of shit that they would not do in real life. There's this wall of protection. And I don't know if it changes us or if our real selves come out, but you've got to remember, that's not often an authentic aspect of the person you're dealing with. And that's what I struggle with most on all of this. The inauthenticity of this is really hard for me. I watch I watch people who I know in real life and they're a different person online, and that's strange. I try hard not to do that. I'm sure I do in ways, because I am a human and I have this desire to manufacture image or to maintain a positive image in the eyes of others. That's wired into us as well. But this is not authentic communication. This is not authentic interaction. And if we start believing that it is, we're going to suffer. If we start thinking this is real, if we start thinking the number of likes we get, especially when we're on platforms that want us to pay to get our message out there, to get our pictures out there, to get our posts out there. And we shouldn't blame them for that. This isn't a public service. Instagram's a business, Facebook's a business. All of these things are businesses. They're going to try to monetize this platform that they've created, and cool, good on them. But I've watched as my organic reach has just been strangled over the past few months. It dropped drastically. And that's okay. That's okay. The only thing that bums me out about it is that I'm not really getting to connect with cool people. I'm not meeting as many cool, just interesting people as I was. But you know what? That's the way this goes. The day that I start thinking this is real, or this is more important than my family or my friends or human beings, then I've got a problem. So you don't have to throw any of this out. They're saying don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Stay on social media if you want to, but be intentional. Notice how often you're compelled to check it. Notice how you feel when you get a like or a follow, or you don't get a like or you don't get a follow. Notice how that affects you emotionally, and be intentional in how you address that. Be intentional in how you respond to that, because that matters. That matters. Like, this stuff absolutely affects people, and opening ourselves up to the opinion from a whole bunch of people who don't have any skin in the game, who don't know you, and who don't really give a shit about you. Like, why do you care about their opinion? Why do I care about their opinion? If they don't know me and they don't have any investment in my life, the day that I start really caring what that person thinks is the day that I'm going to start suffering greatly, because I'm putting something very valuable in the hands of somebody I can't trust. We're never going to be okay with that. It's bad business. It's a gamble that's not going to pay off. So of course that's going to cause anxiety and frustration and fear. So use these things for what they're worth, but as much as you can, be intentional. Pick times to respond to things. Sometimes don't respond to things. Be proactive. Choose when you're going to go on these things and check, and don't go on there outside of that. Don't let these things tell you when to do it. And this is all easy to do. This social media, all this, it's easy to work within as long as you're driving instead of letting it drive. So that's how I managed to be on social media a lot. That's how I managed to have a lot of online accounts and online presence without it really getting a hold of me and without it just messing my life up. So give it a try. Be a little more intentional. See if you suffer less. Take a month off from all of it and see if you're happier. And if you're happier, you maybe have to ask yourself, why would you come back?